You know it's getting near Christmas when Greggs have got their festive bakes back. Cranberry sauce, little thin sausages, pigs in blankets, mince pies, roasted parsnips with a bit of honey, like a honey glaze. The best bits about Christmas dinner. This build has similar vibes to the reef that we made in episode 1, but instead of using metal and soldering irons and heat, if all of that was too much and threw you off and you didn't want to try it and you haven't got a soldering iron, you can create a very similar effect, but we're going to be using fabric and a needle and thread. Hi, I'm Dom, and welcome to my grotto. Welcome to another episode. Thank you so much for joining me again. I hope you're enjoying this series. I'm glad to hear that we're inspiring people and encouraging people to give it a go. There's an awful lot of kind of job satisfaction once you've finished one of these builds. Well, I feel it actually now, looking back at the set, with all of these stars and the reef and all these bits that we've made over these last week or so. It's really nice, it's really rewarding. When I come into the workshop and I turn the lights on, it does make me smile. So I hope that even if you've made one or two of the builds, it's a nice feeling. I hope you're enjoying doing it. Apology time. I know I literally started this series and every episode at the start I say, don't worry, you don't need any equipment, any machinery, none of this stuff in the background. We're gonna use kitchen table, whatever you've got in the shed. And then I go and wheel out my welder. Welding the screws together would work just as well with, I used an epoxy, that worked really well. It's actually still hanging, it's still holding up now. There's like a quick metal, which is like a metal putty that dries rock hard like metal. That would work. There's a few products out there that would also work, like an epoxy or a glue or a resin, something like that. For my sins of getting the welder out and cheating, today I thought I would go easy on you and slightly more difficult on me. We're using fabric, we're using needle and thread. I've got really cold fingers because it's cold in this workshop. Everything you're gonna need is here on the table. A piece of fabric. Don't tell me you haven't got an old t-shirt, an old tablecloth, an old pair of curtains. I've got this piece of green, which is very fancy, look. Ooh. One side's matte, one side is shiny. So we're gonna take inspiration from nature, go outside, grab some leaves. I've got an ivy leaf, could be holly, could be whatever you fancy, whichever bush is near you. Draw around it on a piece of paper. That's your template. Lay that onto your fabric and then pin it onto the fabric. Stab the needle all the way through both layers and back through again. That's holding it in position. Then you can cut it out. So this is important, you take your time here. Find some sharp scissors, because you want them to look like leaves. This is the point where, if you're a bit rough with the cutting, you'll end up with a big green blob. It won't look like a leaf, and it will affect the whole thing. So just take your time. Oh my. Right, there we go. Remove the needle. The final leaves are going to be like a sandwich with two pieces stuck together and stitched around. Because my fabric is jazzy and metallic on one side and flat and smooth on the other, I'm going to be making one side shiny, one side matte. Because I can, depending on your fabric. If you can't do that, make sure that you flip the template over when you're doing the other side, so they go face to face with each other, because it's not a symmetrical shape. So make sure that you actually flip the pattern over when you cut out the next one. So same process again, get my template, pick a nice piece of fabric, pin it on there, and then cut around the template. For this particular one that I'm making, I've got two different shape patterns. No two leaves are the same. So actually use the actual leaf as the template, and every single one is different. As long as you make two of each so you can sandwich them back together, you'll be fine. Shiny, oh no, hang on, it's wrong. What have I done? They're both shiny. Oh, you idiot. I've literally done exactly what I told you not to do. I knew this was gonna be a difficult one. I've got shiny on both sides, and that is not what I want. I should have flipped that over. Right, okay. Oh, right, there we go. I'll do another one. Hopefully that's a mirror image of the first one. Shiny one side, smooth the other. Now all we need to do is stitch it together. I quite like this big sort of bold stitch around the edge. I just think it looks really nice. Red would have been nice as well, actually. Very festive. I've gone for green and white. I'm keeping it simple because I'm clearly easily confused. So I got this this needle and thread from Hobbycraft. It's a special needle and thread. This is for darning. One thread made up of lots of small bits of thread. Imagine like a piece of rope. One big piece of rope, inside that is made up of lots of small threads, lots of small pieces of rope. Same principle. One thick bit. Actually, if you untwiddled it, you would get lots of strands coming off, but leave them twiddled together. And there's a special needle, which has got the eye that you thread it through is nice and fat, which gives me some chance of actually threading the needle. So for one ivy shaped leaf, an average ivy leaf, I'm gonna guess 70 centimeters. No, you know what? We'll do 80. Chop that off. In the end, you've just tie a quick knot. So we're going to be wiring these in position. The actual structure, the branch structure is going to be made out of wire, and that's going to poke inside the sandwich of the two pieces of fabric in there. So leave that little pocket open. It only needs to be very, very small, literally, I think like 2 or 3 millimeters, a tiny little hole, but just leave a little opening there where on the leaf shape, where the actual stem of the leaf would start. So leave that open, start just one side of that. Up from the bottom, pull it through, loop it over the tops and come back under. So that every time, every stitch is coming up from the bottom, pull it through, that's it, loop it round. I think the beauty here to try and keep these nice and neat would be to keep your stitching as even as possible. And by that, I mean distance from one to the next, try and keep that the same, and distance in from the edge. Whilst you're watching that Christmas film, you could just be sitting there stitching some leaves together. It is really quite rewarding. No mess. I'm not getting dirty. My hands aren't getting all greasy and disgusting. Where's the needle? No, where is it? Oh, stop it. Ah, there. Right, that's the last one. Because when you get to the end, before you pull the needle all the way through, tight, put the needle through that loop, and that creates a nice little knot, then it can't come undone. Right, so just to confirm, for one ivy-shaped leaf, 80 centimeters was way too much. I've still got 40 left. So on average, 40 centimeters per ivy leaf. This cost about £1, and there's 8 meters. 20, so I could do 20 leaves for £1. Come on, what a bargain. You can see where I've started, I tied a little knot, left a little opening there. Repeat that process as many times as you want, depending on how long you want your little garland to be. Luckily for you, this is only a 10-minute video, so I've pre-made a load of them. And all we need to do now is get them wired up. Go and get yourself one of these rolls of wire. It was about £1 from Hobbycraft. They have it in gold, copper, silver. It's absolutely brilliant stuff. Really, really easy to use. These leaves need little branches or stems coming off of them, feeding to a main branch. To start, each leaf is going to have a little bit of a stem and a branch coming off of it that lead to the main branch. So let's just make those. That's simple. They're going to be about that long, which is 20 centimeters. So cut 40 centimeters at double. You're going to be looping it over. So double the length, fold it in half, make sure the ends meet, put a loop in the end, like that, and give it a little twist. Then this all-important gap that you left at the bottom of the leaf, you need to poke that lollipop, that eyelet, in that hole so it goes in between the two pieces of fabric inside the leaf. And then once it's in there, push it all the way up to the top into this big open void in the middle, and then crush it and squidge it, make it fatter so then it can't come out the hole. A bit like a wall plug when you're putting shelves up. You put those things in the wall, as you put the screw in, the back side that's behind the wall expands and gets bigger so it can't get out the hole. You're doing the same sort of thing there. Look, it's not coming off. The two tails sticking out, just twist them together. This will make the wire essentially double the thickness and a little bit more rigid. Super simple, very similar to the reef, similar vibes, but we have not touched a tool or a heat gun or a soldering iron or anything. I love the main branch. As you build more, that main central branch retains its diameter, it retains its thickness, because the length of the furthest leaves runs out as the new ones get introduced. So it's constantly, I mean, you could just carry on. This could get bigger and bigger. If every year it became tradition that you would make another few leaves for the Christmas garland, and the leaves changed. That would be so lovely. Every year you got a new piece of fabric that meant something to you that year, your favorite t-shirt from that year, cut it up, and everyone could make their own leaves. This could just keep growing. You can just keep twisting, make a little side branch, and you could extend it. It's really cool. I'll tell you what, I am so chuffed with this. I really am genuinely pleased. And I hope that you have enjoyed watching me make it, but also will give it a go yourself, because trust me, it's really, really simple to do. It costs next to nothing. You never know, you could still be doing this in 10 years' time with your kids, extending these leaves, building little branches coming off, and every year becomes Christmas family tradition that this comes out and we make a couple more leaves to go on the end of it. Simple but effective. Oh, Merry Christmas!